All right, guys, this is the Rambler. Please like and subscribe to my videos. Okay, so I'm officially impressed right now. I just got done watching episode 2 of the Marvel Zombie series. And I gotta say, I was kind of, worried. I was like, there's no way they're gonna have 2 good episodes in a row because we all know Marvel's been on a downfall. But you know what, you motherfuckers? They did it. They fucking did it. Episode 2 was just as action-packed, just as dramatic, just as funny as episode 1, right? Spoilers ahead. We jump right into the action. We have your boy Shang-Chi. We haven't seen that motherfucker since the Shang-Chi movie, which I would give that movie also a 6 out of 10. Wasn't bad, wasn't all that great either. But we see him running with Katie, who is played by Aquafina. They're running into chaos. It's clear that the zombie outbreak has just happened and they're just dealing with, what is going on. They're confused. Shang-Chi is trying to, help her out and also trying to, help out the citizens because, he's, a good guy, right? And all that good stuff. And they start seeing all types of crazy ass shit. You got the PIM station right down the corner from where they're at. And apparently the PIM particles are going insane. You have random humans turning big as shit while also getting eaten by big ass zombies. I wish they would explain that a little bit more to figure out like what happened. I guess it's kind of obvious, right? The zombie outbreak, probably they got overtaken at the station and, maybe some particles just went all haywire and, some people who were running, got caught up in that shit and they just got big as shit, right? But that's not only the good part. Also, you have a bunch of, zombies just like fucking going ham on people, eating people, right? I gotta say, Marvel really caught me off guard with how gory this series is. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. You have zombies falling from the rooftop. Shang-Chi doing his martial arts. And it's funny because I guess in this particular world, I guess Katie doesn't know about Shang-Chi's powers yet. So when she sees him like fucking whooping his ass, she's like, oh my God, you can fight? Just like in the first movie. I thought that was kind of interesting, right? And I also like the fact that she's trying to look for her mom and when they finally find the mom, the building explodes. That's a dramatic moment. But, Shang-Chi's like, hey, no, we got to keep on moving. And then this is probably one of my favorite parts. We see a helicopter coming in, and then boom, it's Shang-Chi's father, the Mandalorian. He's fucking chilling with the death dealer. They on the helicopter. This motherfucker spots his son, fucking comes down with the 10 rings and starts fucking wrecking shop, dude. Like, that boy was going fucking ham on the goddamn zombies. Even Katie was like, who is that? And he was just like, oh, that's my father. I thought that was a pretty funny moment. And, he's just watching his son, fucking try to save people. Of course, he's disgusted because, he's a man of power. After his wife died, he starts becoming more cold-hearted, more caring about the mission and the 10 rings. He watches his son get, fucking bitten by a zombie while trying to save people. He basically calls him out, says, you have a soft heart. And then his rings start to release. At that moment, I thought he was about to bust Shang-Chi's head open. Like, motherfucker, you ain't my son anymore. You a goddamn zombie. But surprise, he actually allows the 10 rings to connect to Shang-Chi. And they it basically saves his life, which was kind of strange. I don't know how the 10 rings can save you from turning into a zombie, but apparently it worked, so it's whatever. And he dies. He for some reason allows himself to get eaten by the zombies, which was also a strange choice, but whatever. You got to make the sacrifice. So then, also I forgot to even mention my favorite part. Jimmy Woo, from the Wanda series shows up. And I thought that was a very interesting dynamic, right? Having a lot of the Asian characters come together and meet up. Just great work, right? And then, they meet up, the death dealer with the mask, they saves them and all that stuff. And then we, advance in the future and shit. We see Jimmy Woo, he's clearly comic relief. Him and the back and forth between him and the Death Dealer, which is more one-sided on Jimmy Woo's part. He's a talker and Death Dealer's not. He's telling him like, hey, this song and shit. And Death Dealer's looking at this motherfucker like, dude, shut the fuck up, right? So they finally, they finally meet up with Zemo, which they're looking for, like, you know, this area is called like the City of C, right? And it comes to find out that Zemo is actually the head leader, which I thought was also a very interesting choice. He basically says, hey, you know, we're not here for superheroes, all that shit, but you guys can come along since you guys brought, you know, fucking cows. That was their, you know, I guess their present to the community. So, you know, they meet up. They run into the other gang from from the first episode, you know, Red Guardian, Kamala, Helena, all that good stuff. And, you know, they're all talking back and forth and shit. You know, this is a really great scene. And there's a touching scene with Zemo where he basically talks about, you know, cherishing the ones you love, never forgetting them. And we all know about his backstory, how his family was tragically kind of killed due to the Avengers, the Soviet thing, Accords. And that affected him pretty heavily, which made him turn into a villain. I thought that was a very interesting part. You can tell he's still evil, but at the same time, you know, he still cares about the aspect of family, right? That's still very important to him. So, you know, they go under the sea and all that shit. They run into Namor. Fucking, I thought that was pretty badass. Namor fucking just wrecks shop on everybody. Basically brings the ship down, and Helena makes a fucking amazing sacrifice. You know, to go down with the ship. She saves her father. That was a very touching moment between the Red Guardian. You know, he was, you know, mainly comic relief with Jimmy Woo, which them going back and forth. Jimmy Woo, like, doing a magic trick on Red Guardian. That shit was fucking hilarious. But, you know, in this time, he's very sad. You can tell he's very upset of the idea that he's going to lose one of his last daughters that he has left. And, you know, she makes a very tragic sacrifice. It was very emotional. I was very impressed. And, you know, then they basically go on their way. Now they're going to the new Asgard. You know, the Red Guardian, Blade, Jimmy Woo. I think Jimmy Woo still survived. And, you know, Shang-Chi and Kamala, you know, they're all going to do their thing and go to the new Asgard. So, yeah, you know, this episode was good. I was very impressed. Very, very impressed. Yeah, just keep on pumping up that good shit, Marvel. I think you guys trying to make a comeback. Yeah, very impressed, I got to say. All right, guys, I'm going to see y'all in the next video.